Hi friends! I'm always on the lookout for funny picture books because when I find them, I can share them on Instagram for my Funny Book Friday posts. Today, I'm excited because I've taken all the funny books from year 2023, and I've narrowed it down to my favorite 8, and I'm going to share them with you now. Book number 1, Problem Solved. In this story, Rabbit has a pretty messy home, and Porcupine comes to help clean it, and hilariously does not help. This book's humor comes kind of like Mo Willems and Elephant and Piggy series, where the illustrations are fairly simple but very expressive, and there's not a lot of words, but it's full of a lot of humor. Jan Thomas style. Book number 2, The Fastest Tortoise in Town. This book is opposite of Problem Solved as far as that has really simple illustrations and broad humor. This has very specific details that are funny. The tortoise itself is named Barbara Hendricks, which I think is hilarious. And in my favorite spread in this book, Lorraine is taking her little tortoise out to train for a race that they're preparing for. And on each day, it's like the first day gets overtaken by a worm, and then a toddler, and then a great grandpa, and then a remote controlled brachiosaurus. Not even just a dinosaur, but a brachiosaurus. All of the little details throughout, and then a really funny ending. One of my very favorite books of the year. Book number 3 is I Made These Ants Some Underpants. And no, I did not just pick it because it says underpants in the title. In this story, the main character receives some new underpants and he wants to spread the joy. And he starts making underpants for all these other characters in this story. One of which is a snake. You have to see how this worked out. Is that funny? An octopus was one. There's also a pirate and a piggy bank and a remote control car. No, maybe it was a race car. Sorry, but it's funny because the list is so extensive and unexpected and hilarious. Book number 3 is titled Wombat, and I read a lot of books throughout the year, and I'm not gonna lie, I can often tell where the book is going or it'll remind me of a different book. And what was so refreshing about Wombat was it just felt completely original, and it is a rhythmic play on the word wombat, but it takes you to places where all of a sudden you're saying funny things, kind of like where he's eating the donut, but here's like young bat, old bat, om nom nom bat. And there are other funny pages. This picture of a half bat took me completely by surprise. It's a silly and delightful book. Book number 5, unless we think that we should do book number 3 for the 3rd time in a row, is by Helen Yoon. She's one of my very favorite new creators. If you haven't read any of her books yet, you're missing out. The main character is looking for this lost invisible dinosaur, which by the nature of, looking for something that's invisible would be very difficult. My favorite picture in the book, let me show you this. It's a little poster. Have you seen My Dinosaur? Where there would typically be a picture, it's completely blank for obvious reasons. This book is super creative and funny on multiple levels. Book number 6, I Can Open It For You. The humor in this book comes from taking a relatable frustration of not being able to open something and exaggerating it. On my favorite page, check this out. Look at that, look. The little boy is saying, "It's no use, I can't open it because I'm small and weak." But later in the book, the child changes his mind and decides when he's older, he's going to be amazing and he's gonna be able to open anything. It'll be famous for it and awesome. It's a really funny book. All right, moving on to book number 7. And I just wanna say the last 2 titles are holiday titles, but they, in my opinion, are 2 of the funniest books of the year, and didn't think that they should be discluded, just because they were holiday books. So number 7, Witch and Wombat. And in this book, little Wilma is excited because she is finally old enough to go and get her cat. It's something that all witches are excited for, the day when they can get their cat. But when she gets there, the cats are all gone and she ends up getting a wombat. Wah, wah, wah. So obviously wombats are not able to do the same things as cats, but this wombat does have its charms. The humor in this book reminds me a little of The Princess and the Pony, which if you haven't read that book, it's also hilarious. That one's older, but you should check both of them out. All right, book number 8, last one. This book is Elves Are the Worst, and this is Gilbert the Goblin. If you haven't read any of these books, this series is called The Worst Series, but It's actually one of the best series, and Gilbert is hilarious. He is determined, he's strongly opinionated, he's lovably imperfect. In this book, he is trying to prove that elves are really just not all that special. So he goes to the North Pole and tries to do the same thing that the elves do, and he completely fails, but he does learn a few lessons along the way. And as a bonus, there are the cutest little called kitty canes in this book that you'll ever see, so check it out. All right, we made it through all 8. You made it to the end. Thank you for staying with me. I will put the titles and authors and illustrators' names in the description below. I'll put a link to my website, which will have more information about each of the books and a link to where you can purchase them if you're interested. You can also find them probably at the local library and read them there, and then you're gonna fall in love with them and wanna buy them anyway. If you love funny books, follow me on Instagram at JME Bills. I do post those funny books every Friday, and I'd love to see you there.